lips and roll and curled your tinted hair.
You know the song, every word of it. You have sung it in the car, in the shower, at the bar on a Friday night when the jukebox finally played the right one.
Ah, Ruby, are you contemplating going out somewhere?
But do you know who wrote it and what they got for writing it? Because in Nashville, those two answers have never always been the same.
My heart's on fire.
Always better at making stars than protecting the people who made the stars possible.
I fall to peace.
These 10 songwriters wrote the songs that built other people's careers, while their own names faded into the credits.
Your cheating heart will
This is Backroad Trail, and tonight we tell the stories the credits never showed. 10 of the most unlucky songwriters in Nashville history. Hit that subscribe button right now, because number 1 on this list is the most extraordinary songwriting story in the history of country music, and it has never been fully told. Number 10, Alex Harvey, Delta Dawn, 1971.
She's 41 and daddy's still cold.
Alex Harvey was 21 years old when he wrote Delta Dawn in 1971, a song about a woman in a small southern town who walks the streets in a faded dress waiting for a lover who is never coming back. The imagery was so specific, so vivid, so completely realized that it did not sound like a first effort.
Delta Dawn, what's that flower you have on?
It sounded like a song that had always existed, and Harvey had simply been the one to find it. Harvey recorded his own version first in 1971. It received minimal attention. Tanya Tucker recorded it in 1972 at the age of 13 and took it to the country top 10. Helen Reddy recorded it in 1973 and took it to number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100, one of the biggest pop singles of the entire year.
After all these years, every time I sing that song, I see my mother in a rocking chair.
Both recordings made their respective artists' household names. Alex Harvey received the songwriting royalties. He did not receive the career. Harvey continued writing and recording in Nashville through the 70s, but never achieved the commercial profile that Delta Dawn should have. Guaranteed him.
Could it be a faded rose from days gone by?
The song was covered by over 40 artists across multiple genres. It generated millions in royalties over the decades. And the man who wrote it, who pulled that image of a woman in a faded dress out of his imagination at 21 years old, remained a name that most country fans could not place even if they had heard the song 1,000 times.
She left this world believing in a dream that never died.
Alex Harvey was eventually inducted into the Nashville Songwriters Hall of Fame in recognition of a career that contained far more quality than the public ever fully recognized. Delta Dawn is now considered one of the defining Southern Gothic songs in American music.
And I hear you say, he was meant to hear today.
The songwriter who gave it to the world never got to stand in the spotlight it created. The next man on this list wrote a song that became one of the most beloved country singles of the 70s, and watched the commercial machine build everything around it except his own name. Number 9, Don Wayne, Country Bumpkin, 1974.
Walked into the bar and parked his lanky frame upon.
Don Wayne spent years as a staff songwriter on Music Row, the invisible infrastructure country music industry that exists entirely to serve the artists whose names appear on the album covers. He was a craftsman in the truest sense of the word, a man who understood what a country song needed structurally and could build it from scratch.
And she thought, I wonder how on earth that country bumpkin found.
With the precision of an architect. And in 1974, he wrote something that went well beyond craft. He wrote something that was genuinely art. Country Bumpkin was recorded by Cal Smith and released in 1974 on MCA Records. It reached number 1 on the Billboard Country Chart and won the CMA Single of the Year award, one of the highest honors in country music.
And she said, hello, country bumpkin.
The song tells the story of a romance across decades, a young couple meeting, marrying, growing old, and the moment at the end when the woman looks back at her husband and calls him the same name she used when they first met. It is 3.5 minutes of genuine literary craft dressed in country music clothes.
To this wondrous world of many wonders, one more wonder came.
Cal Smith's career benefited enormously from the song. Don Wayne received his songwriting credit and his royalties. He did not receive the recognition that a song of that quality and that commercial impact should have generated for the person who created it. He continued writing for other artists throughout the 70s with occasional chart.
As she marveled at the soft and warm and cuddly boy child feeding it.
Success but never achieved the public profile that his best work deserved. Country Bumpkin is now studied in songwriting programs as one of the finest examples of narrative structure in the entire country music catalog. Don Wayne's name appears in the liner notes of one of the most awarded country singles of the 1970s.
But babe, you're something. Mama loves her country bump.
That is where most people who know his work first find him, in small print, on the back of someone else's record. The next songwriter on this list had a similar experience with one of the most recorded songs in country music history.
See you later, country bumpkin.
A song so universally beloved that the man who wrote it could walk into any bar in America and hear it playing without anyone knowing who he was. Number 8. Curly Putman, Green Green Grass of Home, 1965.
The old hometown looks the same.
Claude Putman Jr., Curly arrived in Nashville in the early 60s with the kind of natural storytelling instinct that no songwriting course can teach. He understood how to build a country song the way a good carpenter understands. Timber, from the inside out, joint by joint, never forcing the material into a shape it did not want to take.
Hair of gold and lips like cherries, it's good.
Green Green Grass of Home was the song that introduced him to the world, and the world immediately gave the credit to everyone else. Green Green Grass of Home was first recorded by Porter Wagoner in 1965 and reached the country top 5. Tom Jones recorded it in 1966 and took it to number 1 in the United Kingdom.
And there's that old oak tree that I used to play on,
where it became one of the best-selling singles of the decade, spending 7 weeks at the top of the British charts. It was subsequently recorded by over 200 artists worldwide, including Elvis Presley, Bobby Bare, and Merle Haggard. The twist at the end of the song, revealing the homecoming as a condemned man's final dream, is one of the great narrative turns in popular music history.
yes, they'll all come to meet me, arms reaching.
Curly Putman received significant royalties from the song as it accumulated recordings across decades. What he did not receive was the public recognition that matched the commercial and artistic impact of his writing. He was a songwriter's songwriter, the kind of craftsman that other writers studied while audiences simply enjoyed the songs without ever asking who built them.
It's good to touch the green, green grass of home.
He also co-wrote He Stopped Loving Her Today with Bobby Braddock, widely considered the greatest country song ever written, which appears later on this list. Curly Putman was inducted into the Nashville Songwriters Hall of Fame in 1976 and the Country Music Hall of Fame in 2013. He died on November 12, 2016 at the age of 85. His catalog contains some of the finest country songs ever written.
In the shade of that old oak tree as they
Songs that other artists built their careers on while Putman himself remained, to most listeners, a name in small print. The next man on this list had a stutter so severe that doctors told him he would never perform professionally. He went on to write some of the most powerful country songs of his era, and still got less credit than he deserved. Number 7. Dallas Frazier, Elvira, 1966. Dallas Frazier arrived in Nashville as a child performer who had appeared on Ferlin Husky's television show at age 12. He grew into one of the most instinctively gifted pop country songwriters on Music Row, a man who could write in any register, any tempo, any emotional key, and make every result sound effortless. He wrote Elvira in 1966 for himself, a joyful, infectious, completely irresistible piece of music that he recorded and released and watched go nowhere.
Eyes that look like a heaven and lips like a cherry wine.
It would take 15 years for the world to catch up. Frazier's original recording of Elvira in 1966 failed to make a commercial impact. The song sat largely dormant for over a decade, occasionally covered, never breaking through, while Frazier continued writing hits for other artists. In 1981, the Oak Ridge Boys recorded Elvira and released it as a single.
My heart's on fire, Elvira.
It reached number 1 on the country chart and number 5 on the Billboard Hot 100. It went platinum. It became one of the defining country recordings of the entire decade. It won the Grammy for Best Country Performance by a Duo or Group. By the time Elvira became the commercial phenomenon it should always have been, Dallas Frazier had already left Nashville. He had converted to Christianity in the mid-70s, become an ordained minister.
I'm gonna give her all the love I can.
And largely stepped away from the music industry to focus on his faith and his congregation. The man who wrote the song was not in Nashville to celebrate when the Oak Ridge Boys took it to #1. He received the royalties. He had moved on from the life that produced them. Dallas Frazier also wrote Alley Oop, There Goes My Everything for Jack Green, and All I Have to Offer You Is Me for Charlie Pride. Multiple #1 country songs across different decades.
Giddy up on, bop on, giddy up on.
He was inducted into the Nashville Songwriters Hall of Fame in 1976. He is one of the most commercially successful songwriters in country music history and one of the least publicly recognized. The next songwriter on this list had a condition that the industry used against him for years, before finally being forced to acknowledge what he was actually capable of. Number 6. Mel Tillis, Ruby Don't Take Your Love to Town, 1967.
Are you painted up your lips and rolled and curled your tinted hair?
Lonnie Melvin Tillis developed a severe stutter as a child following a bout of malaria, a condition so pronounced that conversations in everyday life were a constant struggle. And yet when he sang, the stutter disappeared entirely. His voice and song was smooth, controlled, and deeply expressive.
Oh, Ruby, don't take your...
A physical mystery that medicine has never fully explained, but that Mel Tillis spent his entire career demonstrating was absolutely real. Nashville's response for years was to use the stutter against him, to treat him as a songwriter rather than a performer, because the industry could not look past the impediment to the extraordinary singer standing directly behind it.
And yes, it's true, I'm not the man that I used to be.
Ruby Don't Take Your Love to Town was written by Mel Tillis and tells the story of a Vietnam veteran paralyzed from the waist down whose wife leaving him for another man. Kenny Rogers and the First Edition recorded it in 1969 and took it to #6 on the Billboard Hot 100 and #4 on the country chart. It is one of the earliest and most powerful country music statements about the human cost of the Vietnam War.
Lord, it's hard to love a man whose legs are bent and paralyzed.
A subject that mainstream Nashville had largely avoided. Tillis wrote it with the directness of a man who understood what it meant to be underestimated. Mel Tillis eventually broke through as a performing artist in the 70s, after years of being told his stutter made him uncommercial. He had 36 top 10 country singles across his career and was named CMA Entertainer of the Year in 1976. He turned his stutter into part of his public persona.
But it won't be long, I've heard them say, until I'm not around.
Incorporating it into his comedy and his stage presence with a self-awareness that made audiences love him more, not less. But the years Nashville spent not letting him perform because of the stutter were years of commercial opportunity that never came back. Mel Tillis was inducted into the Country Music Hall of Fame in 2012. He died on November 19, 2017, at the age of 84.
Now the way I know, I've heard it slam 100 times before.
He was one of the most gifted songwriter-performers country music has ever produced. A man the industry tried to reduce to a single dimension, and who refused to be reduced. The stutter that Nashville tried to use against him became the thing audiences loved most about him.
Ruby, don't take your love to town.
Before we get to number 5, and this next story is one that will genuinely make you angry on behalf of a man who never got what he was owed. If this channel is speaking to you tonight, Backroad Trail is exactly where you belong. We dig into the real stories behind country music every single week. Hit that subscribe button right now and ring that notification bell. It is completely free and it keeps these stories alive. All right, number 5. This one will make your jaw drop. Number 5. Mickey Newbury, An American Trilogy, 1971.
Old times are not forgotten.
Mickey Newbury was called the greatest songwriter alive by Chris Christopherson, a man who is himself one of the finest songwriters in the history of American music. That is not a casual compliment. That is one master recognizing another. And yet Mickey Newbury spent his entire career watching other artists build their legacies on the songs he had written while his own recordings consistently failed to find the commercial footing they deserved.
Oh, I wish I was in Dixie.
And An American Trilogy was Newbury's original composition, a medley of Dixie, the Battle Hymn of the Republic, and All My Trials woven into a single seamless meditation on American identity. He recorded it in 1971 and it peaked at number 26 on the country chart, a significant underperformance for a song of that ambition.
In Dixieland, I'll take my stand.
Elvis Presley heard it, was so moved he recorded his own version, and performed it at virtually every concert for the remaining 6 years of his life. It became one of the most iconic moments in Elvis's live legacy. Newbury also wrote Funny Familiar, Forgotten Feelings, Sweet Memories, and Just Dropped In, which became a psychedelic rock hit for Kenny Rogers before Rogers found country success.
Glory, glory.
He had a catalog of recordings that critics described in terms normally reserved for literary figures: hushed reverence, careful examination, the language of genuine awe, and virtually none of it translated into the commercial career his talent warranted. The labels were never quite sure how to market something that refused to fit a category. Mickey Newbury was inducted into the Nashville Songwriters Hall of Fame in 1980. He died on September 28, 2002. In a survey of Nashville songwriters conducted shortly after his death, he was named the most underrated songwriter in country music history. The songs he wrote are still being discovered. The career his talent deserved is still waiting to be fully acknowledged. The next writer on this list wrote more #1 country songs than almost anyone in history, and still found ways to get the short end of the deal. Number 4. Harlan Howard, I Fall to Pieces, 1961. Harlan Howard arrived in Nashville in the late 1950s with an almost supernatural ability to write country songs. He wrote Heartaches by the Number Busted, Pick Me Up on Your Way Down, and Blame It on Your Heart, dozens of #1 country singles across 4 decades.
How can I be just your friend?
He is credited with the single greatest definition of country music ever offered, 3 chords and the truth. He said it casually, as a throwaway line at a party. It has been quoted in every conversation about country music for over 60 years. I Fall to Pieces was co-written with Hank Cochran and recorded by Patsy Cline in 1961.
Walk by and I fall to pieces.
It reached #1 on the country chart and the pop top 12. It is considered one of the defining recordings of the Nashville sound era. Howard also wrote the song that Ray Charles took to #1 on the pop chart, Busted, generating international exposure for a country songwriter at a time when country writers rarely crossed those boundaries. His commercial reach was extraordinary.
Each time someone speaks your name.
His financial return on that reach was not always proportional. The specific unluck in Harlan Howard's story is rooted in the publishing structures of the early Nashville industry. Songwriters in the late 50s and early 60s routinely signed away their publishing rights for small upfront payments without understanding the long-term value of what they were giving up.
Time only adds to the flame.
Howard signed deals in his early career that transferred the publishing ownership of his most valuable songs to companies that collected the majority of the royalties those songs generated across the following decades. He wrote the songs, he did not own them. Harlan Howard was inducted into the Country Music Hall of Fame in 1997 and the Nashville Songwriters Hall of Fame in 1973.
Someone who loved me too. Though
He died on March 3, 2002, at the age of 74. He continued writing until the final years of his life, producing work of genuine quality well into his 60s. His story is the story of an industry that understood how to extract maximum value from talent without always ensuring the talent received maximum return.
You walk by and I fall.
The next writer on this list built one of the longest and most successful careers in Nashville history, and still found that the songs he gave away early cost him more than anyone ever publicly acknowledged. Number 3, Bill Anderson, City Lights, 1958.
The bright array of city lights as far.
James William Anderson III was a college student majoring in journalism at the University of Georgia when he wrote City Lights at the age of 19. He was working as a disc jockey at a small radio station and writing songs in his spare time with the careful attention to language that his journalism training had instilled.
Cabarets and honky-tonks, their flashing signs in.
City Lights was not a practice song. It was not a rough draft. It was a finished piece of work that a teenager had constructed with the precision of a professional. Nashville recognized it immediately. The recognition went primarily to the artist who recorded it. City Lights was recorded by Ray Price in 1958 and spent 13 weeks at #1 on the Billboard Country Chart, one of the longest chart-topping runs of that era.
That offer other girls or empty hearts like.
It established Ray Price as one of country music's most bankable stars. Bill Anderson received his songwriting royalties and his credit. He did not receive a recording contract of his own immediately, despite having written a 13-week #1 single at the age of 19. The industry knew what his pen was worth long before it was willing to invest in what his voice could do.
The world was dark and God made stars to brighten.
Anderson eventually signed with Decca Records and built one of the most successful recording careers in country music history, over 100 charting singles, multiple #1 CMA Song of the Year in 1963 for Still. But the years between writing City Lights at 19 and finally getting his own proper recording push were years in which his compositions launched other careers while his own waited in the queue.
Are we just supposed to run and hide behind
The industry valued his pen first and his voice second. That ordering cost him commercial time he never fully recovered. Bill Anderson was inducted into the Country Music Hall of Fame in 2001. He has been called Whisperin' Bill for over 60 years because of the soft, intimate delivery that his own label was initially reluctant to back.
that say forever love in a different atmosphere?
He is now recognized as one of the foundational figures of the Nashville sound era. City Lights is still playing on country radio stations. It has been playing for 66 years, and most people who love it could not tell you who wrote it at 19 years old.
They paint a pretty picture, but my arms can't hold them.
The next songwriter on this list co-wrote the song that has been called the greatest country record ever made, and the specific way that came to pass is one of the most remarkable stories in Nashville history. Number 2. Bobby Braddock, He Stopped Loving Her Today, 1980.
You said I love you till I die.
Bobby Braddock arrived in Nashville in the 1960s as a piano player in session, musician before discovering that his greatest gift was not performance but construction. He could build a song from the inside out, understanding instinctively where the weight needed to go,
Her picture on the wall.
where the turn needed to happen, where the silence needed to land. He co-wrote Divorce with Curly Putman in 1968 for Tammy Wynette. A decade later, the two men would collaborate again on something that neither of them fully understood they were building until it was finished. He Stopped Loving Her Today was written by Bobby Braddock and Curly Putman.
I went to see him just today.
And took approximately 8 years of writing, rewriting, revising, shelving, returning to, and finally completing before it was recorded by George Jones in 1980. Jones himself initially refused to record it, calling it the saddest song he had ever heard and expressing doubt that audiences would accept a song that ended with the narrator dying.
Every single high low.
His producer Billy Sherrill convinced him to try it. The result spent 2 weeks at number 1 and won the CMA Single of the Year and the CMA Song of the Year in 1980. The specific unluck in Bobby Braddock's story is the 8 years. 8 years of working on a single song, refining it, presenting it, having it rejected, picking it back up, rewriting it again.
First time I'd seen him smile in years.
While the Nashville industry consistently failed to recognize what was being offered, George Jones himself rejected it multiple times. The song that Rolling Stone magazine would later call the greatest country song ever recorded spent 8 years being told it was not commercial enough. That is a specific kind of unluck that only a songwriter can fully understand.
He stopped loving her.
Bobby Braddock was inducted into the Nashville Songwriters Hall of Fame in 1981 and the Country Music Hall of Fame in 2011. He continued writing commercially successful country songs well into the 2000s, including Toby Keith's I Wanna Talk About Me in 2001. He is one of the few songwriters in Nashville history to have number 1 country hits in 5 consecutive decades.
He stopped loving her today.
And the greatest song he ever wrote was rejected for 8 years. Number 1 on this list built the entire foundation of country music's most dominant era, signed away his publishing rights for almost nothing, and died broke. and the industry he built has never fully settled that debt.
Today.
Number 1. Hank Williams, Your Cheatin' Heart, 1952.
You're cheating hard.
Hiram King Williams. Hank learned to play guitar from a Blackstreet musician named Rufus Payne, who went by the name T-Tot, in exchange for food that the Williams family could barely afford. He was performing professionally in Alabama roadhouses at 14. He was recording for MGM Records at 23. He was the biggest star in country on New Year's Day, 1953. In the backseat of a Cadillac on a highway in West Virginia, he left behind a catalog worth hundreds of millions of dollars and an estate that spent the next several decades in some of the most contentious legal battles in the history of country music, with songs he wrote for almost nothing. He died before he could collect what the foundation was worth, and the industry that stands on that foundation today still has not fully settled what it owes him. 10 songwriters, 10 careers that the Nashville machine extracted maximum value from while returning minimum recognition.
And she thought, I wonder how on earth that country bumpkin found.
Some of them got their due eventually. Some of them are still waiting. And some of them, like the man at number 1, never lived long enough to understand what they had built. The next time you hear a country song that moves you, look at the writing credit. Find the name in small print. Because that is where the real story lives. That is where country music was actually made. In a room alone, with a guitar and a blank piece of paper, by someone the world mostly forgot to thank.
Hair of gold and lips like cherries, it's good.
This is Backroad Trail. Hit that subscribe button and ring that notification bell. Because the stories we have left to tell are every bit as real as these, and somebody has to keep telling them. We will see you down the road.